Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today we have a special guest, Danielle Taylor, founder of Elevate Her Coaching. Danielle is a dynamic leadership coach dedicated to empowering women to achieve their full potential in leadership roles. We'll dive into her journey, the unique challenges women face in leadership, and the impact of her coaching program. Whether you're aspiring to lead or already in a leadership role, this episode is packed with insights and inspiration. So without further ado, let's welcome Danielle. Welcome, Danielle.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be on this.
I'm excited to have you. And Danielle is another one of our amazing Bucks County women that I love connecting with. So I am excited to have her on. Before we get started with the Elevate Her, we start each episode with our wine, and win of the week segment. This is where we share our favorite bottle of wine, vent about something that has been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victories. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So Danielle, what is your wine, WINE of the week?
Well, I actually don't drink most of the time, but I've become obsessed with Recess. It's a magnesium and adaptogen drink, and it really just helps to calm me down, even me out, and I have it in place of a glass of wine sometimes.
I will have to try that. I've never
It's
tried those
awesome.
before.
Wegmans.
Oh, okay. Then I will
Yeah,
definitely try it because I'm there
yeah,
like every day now that it's so close.
try it.
So what is your WHINE of the week?
Wine of the week. My child. It's preteen. And for anybody that has preteens, the shuffling and the driving is my wine of the week.
I've heard a lot of that as the kids get older.
Yes.
I was just saying last night that ours are not really involved in many activities. They're just involved in activities that fit into our lifestyle because I know one day it's just going to be crazy.
Yes. So I have an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old. So
Oh,
the
okay.
8-year-old's still like cute and little, and the teenage years are rough.
So what is your win of the week?
My win of the week is this Mix and Mingle event that's happening on June 7th. So
Yes, I'm so excited for it.
it's become huge, and I'm just filled with gratitude. I'm grateful and overwhelmed at the same time. But it's over 120 female entrepreneurs and women owned businesses. And the whole event is to leave your egos at the door and have that connection, that conversation, and just to have fun and feel good about what you're doing and bringing to the community.
Yeah, and I will be attending. I'm very excited.
Oh,
This episode will be posted after the event,
okay.
but I will say that I'm so excited to go to it. And I just love that it's female only. And as someone who is new in the business side of the world, it's something that networking is something that I am excited to be doing. And especially with women locally, there's so many wonderful female led businesses in our area. And it's something that's really nice that you're doing for the community to get us all connected. So very
Thank you
excited
so
about
much.
that.
The response is beyond overwhelming. I couldn't believe it. It's really
Yeah,
exciting.
that's awesome. And you had to switch venues because it was so big, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I thought it would be 25, 50 women. Then it was 75. Then it was 100. I have to cap it at 120. I have a
Yeah.
wait list. I realized this is what women really want is connection, especially when you're an entrepreneur and other people don't really understand what you're building. And it's a really stressful time. And this is a group of women that could just talk about it and understand where you're coming from and know that you're not alone.
Yeah, and that's just to also for to knowing you're not alone because I feel like everyone, especially women, are not struggling but balancing so many different things in their life. And to have something to find the time to network with people, I think is a little bit sometimes scary for people, but also
Oh,
where do you go? Like and that's something I think that you can really because you're also a nurse and we don't have to network as a nurse or a teacher, really. You just show up to your job and that's really it. And so this has been something really exciting for me personally with networking. And I am so excited to that someone like you is setting this up for
thank
women.
you.
So I always like to ask my guests, what is one significant challenge you've successfully navigated, shaping your journey to where you are today, and what accomplishment are you most proud of in your life?
So shaping my journey was letting go of feeling like I had to fit in and feeling like I had to fit in a box and really embracing my uniqueness. I am an extrovert. I'm also have that foot in the mouth syndrome. And I may not be everybody's cup of tea, right? And that's okay. And I realize it's okay to keep your circle small and have those people that really are there for you in the good, the bad, the ugly, but could also call you out when you need to be called out. And so that was a huge learning curve for me to realize that you're not going to fit in with everybody, and that's okay. But it's actually a superpower to be unique and to embrace that uniqueness.
Right.
And my win, that's really my win, is really embracing my uniqueness and being who I am and not being afraid to be who I am.
That's wonderful, and it's something that you're gonna help so many women with, and I'm excited to talk all about that, because it is hard. Everyone always wants to kind of fit in, but as soon as you realize when you fit in with your people, fitting in with the people that maybe you want to fit in with, it's not gonna align with you anyway because you're constantly going to be putting on a mask or being someone that you're not, and there's groups of people for everyone, which is something that I hope everybody can figure out because it's a great place when you find your people. So
Definitely.
the running wine mom, we start with a little fitness as well. What is your favorite way to stay active?
Oh, I am very active. We both go to the Newtown Athletic Club, and I love all their classes. And I really reframed as I got older. I used to work out to look good. I used to work out to have six pack, the muscle definition, but I really reframed that. And this is movement for your mindset. And really, I do what my body needs. So if it's like this hard cardio workout and I'm exhausted, I'm not doing it. I'm doing a slow flow yoga because that feels good to my body. But I do work out 4 days a week. I am high energy, high anxiety. So I need that movement. It centers me and it grounds me.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so you kind of just answered this, but maybe if you want to go a little bit in
Sorry.
depth, how does maintaining your own fitness routine contribute to both your motivation and your understanding of the relationship between mental health and physical health?
There is huge combination, right? It's self-care. Really, movement for your mindset is self-care. Walking. You don't have to do anything, but as we get older, especially being a woman in my 40s, lifting weights and not losing that muscle mass, keeping that bone density is so important. And so it combines both mental health and physical health. And I always say, like, I my son has ADHD. I have ADD. The most important thing that you could do for ADHD and ADD is movement. It is.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about your family in parenthood. Tell us about them. Tell us about your family,
So my husband Shreve is a chef. He works locally. He's a catering chef at Barley Sheaf Inn. We've
which is
been
a
to
wonderful restaurant.
yeah. I actually have never eaten there.
Oh
He
my
brings
gosh.
food home all the time,
You're
and he's
lucky.
like, I know, and he doesn't want to go, and I'm like, okay, well, I have the food here. I've been with him for 22 years. We met after college, and I have a 14-year-old who's in eighth grade, and I have a third grader. Two boys, two crazy boys, and finally figured out we need a trampoline in our backyard, and that was their Christmas gift. It was the
Oh,
best thing
that's
we ever
awesome.
did.
Yes, gets their energy out in whatever
Yeah,
way you can.
definitely.
What is your parenting style?
So I definitely believe in gentle parenting and listening. And I wasn't always that parent, but listening to your children and really understanding that there's a function behind every behavior. And especially having a child with ADHD, there's a function behind their behavior. And most of the time it's overlooked. And I do lose my, if I'm allowed to say that.
You can.
Um, I lose my shit, but I also listen more and I've learned to listen more. And I've learned also to say, you know what? I'm not perfect either. I make mistakes. I lose it. And I say, you know what? It wasn't right what I did either. And I learned to apologize. And I think that's a really hard thing that we struggle with as moms. It's okay to lose your shit. It's okay. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, but we can apologize to our kids too.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's such a common theme that I've found with moms that I've spoken to is saying sorry to their kids because
Mhm.
we really weren't told sorry by our parents. And I
Never.
think that's great that this generation of parents is trying to fix that because it shows kids that you don't have to be perfect all the time.
No, not at all.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to other parents?
Stop striving for perfection and stop thinking social media. what you see on social media is real and that those are perfect families. I know we do that like doom scrolling at night when we'd have had a bad day and we're like, oh, what am I? I'm such a horrible mom. It's not real. It's one snapshot in
Hmm.
time. And I really like applaud you. And what we're doing is showing real and honest parenting and what real life is like. And it's so needed. It's so
Yeah.
needed because we didn't have this social media
Hmm.
when we were kids and our parents didn't have that either. So it's so stressful now.
Yeah. And that was yesterday. I don't know if you saw my post, but we were at Wegmans and Willow has she with her allergies, she's been swallowing her phlegm and throwing up after it. And yesterday in Wegmans, it comes out of nowhere. She's like, I need to throw up. And I'm like, in the frozen aisle, I'm like, what? I put my hand out, she throws up in it. We like go run and find a trash can. She's puking in a trash can. And then we get to like a bathroom and she's like, did you see that Paw Patrol? Like nothing happened. And I was like debating if I should post about it or not. And then I was like, no, I am posting this because, and so many people responded just being like, oh my gosh, that happened to my husband or that happened to us at this place. But I think that it made them feel like, okay, this happens and you can have a good moment after it. And then you're just kind of moving on as a parent. So
Exactly. It's real life. It's keeping it real, right?
yeah,
We need more of that. The
right.
keeping it real.
All right, so let's get into Elevate Her. So what inspired you to start this coaching business? And tell us a little bit about it.
Definitely. So I really had to do the internal work. And I want to say that every entrepreneur starts where at a different point and ends up somewhere totally different, right? And you rebrand, you figure out this is not what you really wanted. And this is how Elevate Her came. I was doing self-care coaching and I loved it, but there was something more. It was like I was missing something. I got certified in mindfulness meditation and I really started to meditate every day. And I would ask my angels and guides, and I know some people are going to be like, okay, Danielle, whatever, this is too much. But I really did. I would ask the universe, please give me a sign. Please tell me how, because as a nurse, I've always helped and I really needed to help women and I knew I needed to help women. And it came to me. I realized I'd done the work to embrace my uniqueness. I am not shying away from who I am. And I'm an open book. I really am an open book. And mastering that resilience and knowing that everything happens for a reason. Yes, there are times I'm like, I want to run away, but I reframe and know that it needed to be this way.
Hmm.
And also self confidence. Really, at 40, and now I'm going to be 45. For 5 years, I worked on my self confidence. And it was really the internal work every day, learning, growing, writing, wiring my brain to know that I'm enough. And now I'm ready to show that. And I feel like I'm drawn to female entrepreneurs. I am. And
Yeah.
this is how you build your business and your brands with authenticity, with authentic living, with confidence, with resilience, with honesty. And there came Elevate Her coaching.
Yeah, and I love
Thank
watching your journey. I feel like
you.
we kind of started around the same time and
Yeah.
like we've both evolved, which has been pretty cool to see because sometimes you second guess it. Like,
Yeah.
I was for me, I started with the life coaching, having my master's in coaching. I'm like, I need to do something with it. And I want to do with, kind of like moms and adults. And
Hmm.
then I was like, again, same thing with you. I think there's something missing. And then I got the
Yeah.
nutrition and wellness. I'm like, I've been working with teens forever. So like,
I love
why am
it.
I not working with teens?
I
That
love
it
it.
was, and it just similar to you, you're like sat on it. Of course, I could still work with adults too, but like,
Right.
that's where just like you're like aligned with female entrepreneurs. It's like, but you have to start. That's where I think a lot of people are scared that they're going to start and maybe look at that as a failure of like, well, this
Mm-mm.
didn't work out. It's like, no, you just evolve yourself
Hmm.
into what fits into you. And I love that you're going to teach other people how to do that as well.
And
So what do
I
you
love what you're doing. I just wanted to say it.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
teen wellness and fitness and coaching and nutrition is so needed.
Yeah, and it's obviously I'm passionate about it as well. And I can't believe like I can't believe I didn't think about it from the beginning where I was just like, oh, I'll just do adults. And I'm like, I don't I work with kids every single day. Why would I not do why would I not do kids? It's
It's
like,
meant to be.
yeah.
It's meant to be.
So what unique challenges do you think women in leadership roles face today?
Still think there's a glass ceiling. I still
Mhm.
think, and this is really interesting. So I worked at a hospital in Center City for 17 years, and I worked with nurses that were women mostly. And then I changed hospitals and I started working with men. I never realized, and I've worked in the restaurant business, but that's like a whole different, but I
Yeah.
never realized really that people listen to men more. I could say the same thing. I could have a better idea. And I was floored a couple of years ago when I moved. I had no idea that it still existed and to the extent it exists. And I still think we're fighting that glass ceiling. So we can achieve that supervisor, that role, but we're still second guessed constantly. And if a man says something, completely we are overshadowed. And we could have said the same thing.
No, I could see that for sure. And I feel I've read like a bunch of different stuff where it's like have the confidence of a man when you walk into a room because women are just from a young age told, to be a certain way and act a certain way and you're supposed to be ladylike and you're supposed to be this and you're not supposed to be loud and abrasive and but you need and those are the qualities that men have all
Mm-hmm.
and it's just used differently when
Mm-hmm.
describing a woman where it's like
100%.
it's hard to kind of manage. So how do you help your clients uncover their inherent strengths?
So the first step is you have to be open. So if you are closed off and you're not open to really learning, and this is really hard work, doing the deep dive to uncover your strengths, it takes time, it takes hard work, and it might transform and evolve, right?
Mhm.
And so the first step is coming to me open to say, I need help, show me, but also working together as a team. And so it's really examining, and this was really hard for me, examining yourself, taking a hard look and examining how you talk about yourself, how you taking compliments, how you um, talk to other people about yourself, how you literally at night go to bed and what you say to yourself. Like, how many times do we go and say, "Oh, I suck today. This is horrible. I can't do this." The can't. And really actually writing down, I can, I will, I am, and rewire. It's really rewiring your brain. And it
Mhm.
takes longer than a 3-month coaching program, but I get you started so that you can do it by yourself and continue to do it.
Yeah. And how about what strategies do you use, as we were just talking about before, in the workforce? How do you help women find their voice in the business world? Like, what can they do? How do you help them in that?
So I actually have women, I have a whole workbook, and I have women write down their qualities, their traits, their strengths. And so many times it's really funny because I did it on a social media post. Strengths were not traits or their personality, it was external. And it was not internal, it was external. And it had really nothing to do with them. And so we deep dive into that and like looking at it and saying, "Oh, that word is not
Mhm.
even, that's an external word." And looking at a trait like, I am patient, I'm honest, I'm funny, caring, I'm smart. You know, these are words we don't use so often about ourselves, and
Right.
scary words, because saying I'm smart is like, showing off. It's not showing
Yeah.
off. So really examining that. And some women want to run away. And that's why I say it's really, you have to be open, because this is, sometimes it's not fun, but the other side is amazing. It's a different world.
Right. So besides maybe confidence and not being open, what are some other common obstacles that you see in your clients and how can you help them overcome that?
I think boundaries and limits are a really huge obstacle.
Boundaries
I
are
think
huge.
boundaries are huge. I think most of us struggle with boundaries because we were told to please. And women
Mhm.
are told to please, right? So we don't have these boundaries and limits with ourselves first. We have no boundaries and limits with ourselves, with our children, with our spouse, with our work, with the community. And I think really actually having to set these boundaries can be really hard. But once you do that, It's going to be, and I say, even, my kids have had therapy. We've had behavior training for my son. It gets worse before it gets better. Right? Even in business, adults will act out when you set a boundary.
Yeah.
Accountability, having accountability and having tough conversations. That's another hard one. Having a tough conversation is something that also we were told like not to have, like pussyfoot around,
Right.
but having tough conversations in leadership and talking about it, right? So actually going through it. So I use Voxer, so it's text messaging, but actually having somebody text me and I say, I want to hear from you. Text me.
Right.
So I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this. And let's go through how you can communicate this and have that tough conversation.
Yeah. So how do you tailor your coaching to fit each individual's client's needs?
So we do a deep dive on where they grew up, what their lifestyle is like, what their household is like, if they're married, single, have kids. I need to know everything. So when I say I'm an open book, I need you to be an open book. And that's really hard. We all come from trauma, right? Unhealed
Mhm.
trauma that we're working through. We all come from struggles. You could be super millionaire and you have no idea what's going on with them behind closed doors or how you feel about yourself. So that is really, I tailor it to really understanding you and listening to you.
And what advice would you give women who are just starting their leadership journey?
I would say learn, learn and grow. And also every morning, I really feel, and this is from Brene Brown because I've studied every book that she wrote. I take notes. I've done all the worksheets, spirituality. And I did that before I read her. And then she said, resilience and leadership is like spirituality. Those are the people that end up succeeding because they feel, and it's not religion. It doesn't have to be,
Right.
it can, but being spiritual and knowing there's so much more than what we are, than what is here, and really embracing that. So I have a workbook that works with spirituality. It's very basic. It doesn't have to be big, but every morning I read the pivot year. I'll read it over and over, or I'll meditate and just close my eyes. I write like what I want or my feelings. And this is all spiritual,
Mhm.
and I really believe that there is a higher being. I really believe there are people that surrounding your angels, your guides.
Yeah. And I am very much into manifesting and all of that
Mhm.
and we it's just like praying for those who pray and those who manifest. It's really kind of one and the same. It's just you're trusting in something higher than you
Exactly.
to get you where you want to be. So
Exactly.
a lot of women have trouble with work life balance. So how do you kind of integrate that into your coaching sessions?
Yes. So that is a huge part of coaching sessions. So we talk about I want to know if you're married, you have kids, what your work day looks like when you come in, and we schedule it. We make it, put it on the schedule. We schedule it, but we also have conversations and we work through them on if you're married or if you need help from a friend and how to have those conversations. Because I feel so often we get resentful. Then we have fights. You never help me. You never do
Hmm.
this. Even your kids, you don't help around the house, but they never knew what you wanted and needed. So we
Right.
have those conversations. We say, what does self care look like? And self care is not getting your hair and nails done. Sorry guys. This is going to be people are going to shut me down. It's not. It's so much more than that. Self-care is taking a brain break, taking time to decompress and being present with yourself. And exercise, you could be present with yourself.
Right.
Meditation, reading, growth, rest. Rest and play are self-care.
Yeah. Yes, I love that because so many people think like I personally hate going to the nail salon to get my nails done. Like it's not
I
something
do it.
that is like I have my own gel kit at home because and I'm like, but all these women like love going. It's so like relaxing for them. Like that is not for me. I
Yeah.
like zone out and maybe just even sitting there. It's really personalized, I think,
Yes.
to
Yes.
what self-care is because for some people getting their nails done is self-care, but for other people, like just going for a car drive is self-care.
Hiding in your car and having a
Yeah.
cup of coffee.
Yes, that too, that too. I have definitely gotten like a McDonald's Diet Coke and fries and just sat in the car and waited to come home or come in the house. I mean,
That is self-care.
so what are some key skills that you believe are essential for effective leadership?
I mean, we can go for Brene Brown. Vulnerability, courage, resilience, having tough conversations. I could go on and on, but those are the main.
Yeah. And can you explain the process of transforming challenges into stepping stones for success?
Definitely. When you're look at a challenge, you realize it's a time to level up, it's a time to grow, and it's a time to learn. So I used to look at challenges and setbacks. They would blow me out of the water. I'd want to hide in my bed. I want to quit. Right? How many times? I still sometimes do that. Let's be real.
I
Right?
know.
There's time. How many times do you have a setback or a challenge and you just want to quit and be like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
But then you reframe and you realize this challenge is really good for me. It's an opportunity to learn, to also the people in your group, the people that you work with. This is a great time to rumble, right? As she says, to sit down and work through the challenge and listen because other people have great ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Friends, employees, even sometimes your children have really great ideas that you would have never thought. And so you have to be open to listening and knowing that challenges, there's people there to help. And people you might not realize are
Mm-hmm.
really good because they're so different than you. That's
Yeah.
a perfect person,
Right.
right? Because maybe you're not thinking outside that box.
Right. And I love asking other people questions. And that's actually
Well,
one of the best things about doing this podcast is meeting people and learning from them. And, I have to sprinkle my own my questions that are like really important to me in there. But like, that is something that once I started interviewing these amazing women and men, and I'm like, wait, what do I want to learn from them? So
yeah.
let me make this to be not only what, everybody wants to know about them, but specific questions, for myself as well, which I think has been such a great process. And, I don't think the same way as everybody that I interview, and I don't do the same things as them. And learning from other people is really just such an amazing thing. So, what impact do you hope to have on the women you coach?
So I I want them at the end of the program, or if I'm consulting with them, to walk away and say, I love myself. I am going to build this business. I'm going to keep going with my business and have the tools and the strategies to keep going, master those setbacks, and know that they are amazing while doing
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. And so, how do you measure the success of your coaching program? Like, how do you know that when they leave you, that is what they are going to be doing?
I get feedback. I always love feedback and I am open to feedback. If something's not working or it
Hmm.
needs to change or they need help in a different way. So I love feedback. Always at the end, I want feedback because feedback is a learning tool, right?
Hmm.
You think criticism or feedback is bad, but it's a learning tool, right? And
Right.
you might not always agree, but it's a learning tool. But also, I want them to see throughout the process that they're growing and learning. And I would be doing somebody a disservice if they didn't feel it was benefiting them or they
Yeah.
needed a different learning style. I've
Yeah.
been a nurse for so long that sometimes you're not going to click with everybody. And so I think the best kinds of coach is a coach that could realize this relationship isn't working. So I want to know at the end that they've gotten everything out. They feel like they're ready to fly. They have the tools. They always know they can check in with me. They have the workbook and they're ready to go. And if they don't feel that, let's keep working. Or you know what? Maybe I can refer them. Maybe my style is not working. Maybe I
Hmm.
could refer them out to
Right.
somebody else. And I think that's really important. You're not a failure. It's
Right.
just everybody has a different learning style or a different way that they feel connected to somebody.
Yeah. And if everybody got along with one specific person, there wouldn't be room for any other coaching people out there,
Right.
professionals
Exactly.
out there. It would be, well, everyone's going to go to this specific one because they have all the answers. So that's kind of the beauty of it, that they find
Mhm.
who they fit in with. So, what are your future plans for Elevator?
I want to take this everywhere, but I also really, and I've always felt this, I feel like I should be on it doing a huge speaking engagements. I really feel called to empower all women to know that you can start with nothing and build a business and be an entrepreneur. And it really takes loving yourself, trusting your gut, your intuition, knowing that you probably already have the answer within you, and embracing who you are. And you can do anything,
Yeah.
really.
Love that. Well, you've given us so much information.
Thank
Is
you.
there anything maybe that we missed or any other insights that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share?
Nothing really, but I do want to say I know I'm a mom, and being a mom and having maybe a full time job and building a business on the side is really tough and and there are a lot of time constraints. And you can still do it because I'm here and I'm showing you, but you also have to set boundaries and limits for yourself because there have been days where I'm still clicking on my phone and I realize I should have been present with my children. And that's
Hmm.
a learning experience. And that's okay. And I don't beat myself up. You don't have to judge yourself or beat yourself up. It's a learning experience. But put down the phone and put a timer on and have that time with your kids because you will never get it back.
Hmm.
So it's a balance, and sometimes it's not always balanced.
It's all right. Yeah, that's I totally agree. It's like there's a weird, but people say like, if you give 50% and that's all you can give, then you've given 100%. And that's like something interesting that I always think about. But as long as you're doing whatever you can and not beating yourself up, like you just said. All right. I think that is a great place to end. This was wonderful. This is going to bring us to the end of another episode of The Running Wine Mom. A big thank you to Danielle Taylor, founder of Elevate Her Coaching, for joining us today. We explored the depths of authentic leadership, the power of confidence, and the importance of tailored coaching in women's leadership journeys. From overcoming obstacles to building executive presence, Danielle's expertise shines through. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it. You can follow me on Instagram at the running wine mom _. And Danielle, where can the listeners find you?
So I am at www.elevatehercoaching.net, and I'm also on Instagram as the Empowered Mom Coach.
And I will link all of that. Thank you, Danielle, for
Thank
joining today.
you. This
Yes,
was
this
so
was so,
fun.
yes. So thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.